Sure. I guess I stopped the video last time. Okay, so if you've got the original side scroll that we were working on, go ahead and get that out. What we're going to do today, just to recap, sorry guys, is we're going to kind of deconstruct this a little bit and build it like we should build a real large project. We were building things piecemeal, little by little. That works for small projects, but when lots of things interact, it has problems. So part of computer programming is often spent designing your project. So what we're going to do is we're going to design our project. I'm using just my little artboard here instead of the dry erase so everyone can see it on video. So, okay, so let's define our project. So our project is side scroller, right? So what's the main focus of our project? What's jumping? So you need a character. So the first thing we need is we need a character. Is my stroke? My stroke should, oh, that's giant. Let's Control Z. Let's drop her down to about 5. That's still huge. Oops. 0.25. I don't know why it's so big. We'll figure that out later. Okay, so we got our character. Our character before was a dinosaur. We can keep that character, but right now we got a character. That's our sprite. Let's go ahead and keep track of our different characters. So our first thing is our main sprite. What do we want to call our main sprite? Main sprite. That makes sense. So we got our main. That's too dang big. Why is it so big? It shouldn't be that big. Oh, it defaulted to 1 again. Okay. Okay. There we go. Main sprite. So what we got is a main sprite. Okay, so this sprite can do what? Jump. It can go up. So it can jump. And how does it go down? Gravity. So we got gravity pulling down on the sprite. So when it goes up and it goes down, what coordinate is changing? X or Y? Y. So under our main sprite, we want to track its Y coordinates. So okay. Then what else can this sprite do?
Jump higher.
It can jump higher. Yes, Jack. Oh, here's spacebar. It's a side scroller. What do I mean by side scroller? It's going to move how? Side to side. Now in reality, the background's going to move, but it's because of the mystery of video. It'll appear that if he's moving through whatever's going on. So he can move right and left. So that means we're going to have to track an X coordinate. Now, because this is a side scroller, other things are going to interact with it based on where it is on the thing. So in this side scroller, we're going to have land of some sort.
What is that?
That's Keller. Can't you tell? That's green. No. Okay. So it's going to interact with other sprites. We're going to have land sprites, basically. We'll just call them land sprites. Yeah, sprites. Okay, and we're going to have any number of those. So n. That's a way you can donate and denote in science and math that you have multiples. Is the lowercase n usually means. So we're going to have multiple land sprites. So now, what's that? That'd be NAND sprites, but no, just n denotes a number. We'll have any number of them, so that's what the n stands for. Now these land sprites will move through the world based on the x coordinate. So the x coordinate is going to relate to that. So we're going to have to base all movement based off of the x coordinate. So we're going to have some global variables we're going to have to have to track. So we're always going to want to know where our X and Y coordinates are. So as we move through. So we're going to create some global variables. So in our global variables are going to be X and going to be Y for where we are positioned in here. There may be a time when we can move land up and down, so it may interact with that X and Y. But so basically what's going to happen is we're always going to want to know where the X and Y coordinate is for the main character. Then based on that, we're going to have all the other X and Y coordinates based on that. So every land sprite will have its own X and its own Y coordinates. Okay, but they'll all be based on the global. The global will be the main sprite's X and Y coordinates. Okay, so now he can jump, you said, right?
Yeah.
He can jump. He can also fall, right? Now, in order to decide whether he's going to fall or not, we need to know if he's, what do we have to know with each piece of land as it goes by?
He's okay.
If he's okay. Well, he's okay as long as you're okay, but
I'm not okay.
when he's going to fall? So he's only going to fall when he's not over land, right? So,
Now he still goes through the land.
what's that?
Right now he goes through the land.
Okay. Yes, right now he goes through the land. That's one of our problems, is he will go through. He'll fall in the first one, but he'll go through the second one. So what we need to do is we need to know whether he's okay or not. Maybe that's a good name for the variable. So we create a variable called okay. And he is okay. It's true when he is over land. It's false when he's not over land. Okay. Okay. Now he can still fall when he's over land, but he can't pass through the land, right? So every land sprite needs to have its don't worry about it. Every land sprite needs to know its top. We need to know where its top is so that we can know where he should fall. He shouldn't fall past the top, right? So every land sprite has to pass its own top, and it's going to have to, when it's okay over that land sprite, it's going to have to pass it to the main sprite to say, oh, here's the furthest you can fall. Otherwise, not. And so we got to pass that information back. And that's going to change between land sprites. When he's okay, he's not okay. Does that make some sense? Okay, let's see, what other main variables do we need? So we got the global variables, we got our sprites. Each sprite's going to have, so we have to come up with a way to tell this sprite how far he can fall every time, and when he's over it or when he's not. So.
Or we can go on the tutorials and see how to work it.
No, that'd be no fun. Okay. So land sprite's going to have to know the X and Y position it's in. The land sprite's going to have to be able to tell the other sprite where the top is, how far he can fall. And the land sprite's going to have to tell its left and its right side, when it is okay. So we're going to have to know its max left and max right, how far the sprite can go and still be okay. So these max left and max right will tell it if it's okay or not. So that will change this global variable okay. So we got our jump. Oh, I didn't write down gravity, but you guys are already familiar with gravity. We're going to have our gravity. We're going to have our jump. We're going to move everything based on global X and Y. And the main sprite The y coordinates will stay the same. Actually, the x coordinates will never change because the y part does, at least right now, it does not move back and forth. So it's going to change that global x and y. So does that make some sense? Okay. So maybe, I'm just wondering if maybe we want to just say we learned a bunch here, but maybe we want to build it from scratch.
Is it 203? That's what the brick says.
Yes, it's 203.
Oh, is that you learn something?
Okay, so yeah, go ahead. Let's do this. Let's do this from the beginning since we've got everything cluttered. Pulling things out is going to be a little strange. So let's go File and New. Open up a new one. Okay. Now let's all choose the same sprite for now. Later on you can change this up, but I'd like us all to use the same thing. So shall we go with the dinosaur? Did we like that? No. We want something that has at least.
Dragon. Let's do the dragon.
Which dragon?
Under fantasy?
Yeah.
Right here?
Yeah.
He doesn't have, he's got kind of a bounce. Do you want the dragon? Everyone want the dragon?
I already have mine with its own funny program bounce.
Okay, so everyone say the dragon, you can't find it?
No, now I have it. Or we could get that elf.
Where's the elf
I
here?
think we should do Frank, because he's got like a full-on jump
What about the
sprite.
griffin?
Who's Frank? What is he?
If you go under the fantasy tab,
Okay, go under fantasy.
or just on the right.
Oh, Frank. Oh, yes, he's got a jump. What do we think about Frank?
Oh, he's a big one.
He's got a big jump.
Yeah, why don't we use Frank? Frank's got a cool jump. So now I've got two sprites here. How do I get rid of my extra sprite?
You delete it.
You highlight that sprite and hit the little X on the garbage can. And, yep, and don't tell your parents you threw the cat in the garbage can.
Hey,
So.
Cut a piece
he's
of
got a
paper
false
and-
sprite too.
No, you cut a piece of paper and paste it
Yeah,
over it.
if we look at Frank, we can look at his costumes. He's got kind of hands on the hips. Here's his jump sprite,
He's got a lot of goofy
and here's his fall sprite. So that works out pretty well. So I think that's actually supposed to be scary, like raw, but that'll work. That'll work for a fall sprite.
Do the one up and
That one, yeah, that's going to be his jump sprite. So okay, so we know we got costumes. So we got Frank. Now the first problem is Frank is too big. What do we need to do?
big.
Yeah, he fills up the whole screen. What should we do?
Cut his diet a little.
Yeah. That's what I was going to suggest.
Here, actually, I'm going to put him on the main costume right now anyway. So, okay. So Frank is too big. How do I change that?
Too big. Size.
Size. Down here, size. Let's see what 50 looks like. Oops. Come on, Frank. You can let me change that. Oh, I think I have the problem that we've had before.
Yeah, I can't do it either. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes I think
Oh, mine's
You're
doing
using
it.
a brick, I'm not surprised.
I think Scratch has some bugs in it sometimes, and I find the bug every once in a while where I cannot interact with anything. Yeah, I just got to reload mine really quick, so I'll be there. Hang on.
Looks like it'll work.
Huh?
Okay, so I'm going to go change my sprite to Frank.
Now we got all the fun.
Fantasy Frank.
Kinda funky.
Get rid of this one.
Is it funky?
I'm going to change Frank. I'm going to go to 50.
It got all funky.
50 is not too bad. I'd like to go a little bit smaller. Let's see what 40 looks like. Yeah, 40 is a good size. That gives us something to work with. So go ahead and change Frank's size to 40. So we got our sprite.
Letting me do it. How do you? I can't make it work.
Start a new project.
I had to shut Scratch down entirely, reload it, and do it. Okay, so if we go here, we now got our sprite. We got him selected. Okay.
Selected.
Now,
Funky.
okay. So now we got our sprite selected. Now let's create some global variables right off the bat so we know what's going on. So we're going to want a global X and a global Y variable. So, or do we need a global Y variable?
I can't make it work. Can you do it? Aren't there two ways to adjust the size?
You can do it programmatically, but if you can't, here, just a second. Okay, so yeah, going back to our variables. Actually, all we really care about for global variables is our X position, where we're moving. The Y position really only relates to the main sprite when he's jumping or where the land is located. So let's not create a global variable for X or for Y.
I'm just about done.
I already have all
Okay.
You're just using the same one we already had.
Okay.
No,
So
we basically created a copy of it.
Size 40, right?
yep. Okay. So with Frank highlighted, let's go to variables, and let's start making our global variable. So we're going to make a variable. Now, for sure, we want this for all sprites because this is going to track for everyone, and we're just calling it X.
So what?
We're creating a global variable X. X for all sprites. Boom. Now we got our X variable. Okay. Let's go back to here. So
X
We got X.
we got X.
for all sprites?
Yep, for all sprites. Now we have one other global variable right now we want to make, and that's our OK variable.
Okay.
We want to know if he's okay or not. So,
Okay. Maybe he's a little.
so whenever he falls down, he can go, I'm okay. No.
I'm not.
Okay, so we're going to make another variable, and we're just going to name this variable OK. Again, make sure it's for all sprites. This is a global variable that all the sprites are going to look at. So,
What, okay?
OK, yep.
Okay. Add it, okay.
So all sprites are going to want to know where the X position of Frank is,
For all sprites?
and yep, and where the global or whether Frank is okay or not.
Make sure Frank's okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You wanna look at my bike?
Okay, so now we've got that global variable. So now while we have Frank up, the other variable we want to track for Frank is his Y coordinate. So let's go back to our Scratch, and now we're going to make another variable, but this one's going to be for this sprite only. This is only for Frank.
For Frank.
And I'm going to call this Y. Hit OK. Boom. And I didn't call it Frank Y or anything because if you'll notice up here, it already labels it as Frank Y up here. So now we can track Frank X movement.
I click them all for this sprite only.
If you click them all for this sprite only, delete the ones that the OK and the X and make them for all sprites.
Okay.
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 What?
I just got
Okay, so we've got our main sprites set up. Now let's work with our jump. So we need a jump capability. So if I go back to Scratch, now I'm going to drop back to my other program. You guys stay in your program, but I'm going to file, and here, maybe we want to save this anyway. We've got some things. Save to your computer. What should we call this one? Should we just call it Frank?
Oh, we're saving this?
Wait, so what are we gonna be doing with this one?
We're going to make a side scroller. We're going to
Same
move
thing we
jump,
just did.
but now we're going to do it a little more thought out so that we're ready to deal with adding more to it.
I
So
have a way to get all my script from that other one and
Wait.
bring it into this one. Should I
We're
do that?
redoing this whole thing?
yes, but we're going to use what we already know. So here,
Well,
So-
can I delete my old side scroll?
if you want to overwrite your old side scroll, you can. I just named mine Frank. So
I just made a new one and call it side scroller instead of side scroll.
okay, as long as you can keep them straight. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, one has Frank, one has a red dinosaur, so I think I'll have them straight enough.
okay, so if we go back to our original side scroll, what we did when we pressed the space key was we changed his X position or Y position by 5 to get him off of the land, and then we set gravity to jump height. So
To none height.
okay, so if we go back to our project here, so when we have jump, we're going to need two variables. We're going to need a global variable. This gravity is going to have to become a global variable. Gravity. Global means that all sprites can access it.
Access it.
And then this
Access it.
jump's going to need a jump height.
So that would be for this sprite.
It can be for this sprite only. I'm going to make it global just because it kind of goes with gravity. So let's go back to our other project. I'm going to hop back to my other one, Frank. There you are. Okay, so I'm going to make two more variables. Both are going to be global for all sprites. First one is gravity
We already made that one.
in our other one, not in this project. And then I'm going to make another global variable called jump height. Again, for all sprites.
Basically just recreated
Yep, we're kind of recreating it, but recreating it in a intelligent way so that we know it's.
We're gonna make it
Oh, I
an
literally
okay
just copied all
way. An okay way. For all sprites, right?
For all sprites, for both gravity and jump height.
Jump height. Can I do J height?
Okay, so we got all our variables created. Now we need to set them all. So we need to set them at the very beginning. So what do we use to say, I've started my project, let's set my variables? What are we looking for? What's the first thing that happens when you start a game, generally?
Flag.
You click the green flag. So we're gonna go to our events, and we're gonna, when flag clicked, here I'm gonna increase the size of this a little bit.
That's fine. It's funny.
Can you see that okay from the back, Jack? Jack, can you see this from okay from the back?
Okay.
Jack's not here right now. Leave a message.
Okay.
Okay. So first one we got is we got our global variable x. So let's go down to our variables.
Okay.
Let's grab set. Mine says set gravity. Let's set our x variable first. And I'm going to put him right smack in the middle of the screen right now. So I'm going to set my x to 0.
This is the X for everybody, right?
Yep. And then I'm going to grab it again, and I'm going to set my y, my Frank y, to 0 as well. So right now he's at 9, -3. If I hit my flag, boom, nothing. Oh, that's because I didn't move them. I just set the variables. Okay, that's right. Let's set our variables first. Okay, so then we're going to do our OK. So grab your set. Mine still says gravity. I'm going to set my OK. We're going to do this like this was a true Boolean value in, say, JavaScript or Java or C or anything like that. And we're going to set it to true. We're going to say,
You can use true. Okay.
yeah, you can put anything in here you want. You can set the variable to almost anything you want. So
So I could set it to like
When
the
I
word if
type-
I wanted.
mhm.
When I type
Is
my
that
computer,
impenetrable?
when I press hard on a button, my computer goes like this.
Okay, so we got set OK to true. We got X and Frank Y.
Is that okay to vegetable?
My
Okay.
computer moves.
You should set okay to okay.
Next one we got gravity,
Gravy.
and we got jump height.
My computer has legs and it can move.
Now, in order to set gravity and jump height, I'm going to use what we did on our last project. So I'm just going to save this one quick.
I don't
Yeah.
have
Heat.
That's right, I'll be right back to it. So gravity and jump height, I'm going to go back to our other project. Load from computer, side scroll. It'd be nice if I could have 2 windows, but
computers are difficult.
I thought I hit it.
Hard.
Load from
Most
computer,
are easy except mine.
side scroll.
You really need
Open.
to have like a college degree in computer science.
Just to use it.
Okay, so last time,
We had win flag click.
Just cranking it to keep it
so
going.
we had our gravity of 5, and our jump height of -25 is what we had. So,
I had jump at -40 because it worked better.
right, we can change that later. So, okay, so I'm going to go back to our Frank.
I found one manufacturer. No one makes
Ah.
this computer anymore. It's out of. I don't think
It's not even in production.
No.
I mean, I understand why, but you know.
Come on.
It works pretty darn good. I mean.
It's thinking. Wonder if my computer's having issues. Load from computer. Frank. I'm having issues. I'm going to pause. Okay, so I got reloaded. So gravity, I'm going to set to 5. Jump height, I'm going to set to -25. Okay. So we've got our base variables set. We got our base variables set. First thing we're going to want to do when flag clicked is we're going to want to move Frank to his new coordinates.
Wait, I don't have all the coordinates.
I'll make sure you got them. 5 and -25. Okay, so how do we move Frank to where we start? Well, let's try a go to. And instead of putting, I could put 0 and 0 there, but because we may want to have a starting place change later on, I'm going to have it to whatever we set here. So I'm going to drag in my X and my Y.
Okay, which X?
There's only one X. It's a global X. There's only one Y. It's a local Y for Frank. So, okay, so now if I hit my flag, boom, Frank goes to 0, 0. If I drag him off somewhere and hit my flag, boom, he goes to 0, 0. So that's working. So we got the global variables we want. We got Frank moving to that.
Dude.
Okay, so now we've got that working. So we need to do jump and gravity. Let's do gravity first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my old project here. I'm going to first of all save mine so that I don't lose what I worked on.
Exactly right on.
I'm going to go back to side scroll. Okay. And let's see what we did for gravity. Okay.
Are we gonna use the same thing?
We were going to use the same thing. I'm trying to see where our gravity was.
Where the code breaks.
What if my computer crashes? I mean.
There's a glide dex to Y position. That is under
It's a little bit chipped.
when I receive above.
This. Please. This
No,
is
it's a little
break.
it's a little complex here. Let's just recreate this. It'll be cleaner.
This seems
So
better
I'm going to
as
go
a
back to Frank.
controlling houses than working as a computer.
Okay.
Its function is
So, okay, listen up please. So gravity is going to be in effect how often? Gravity is going to be in effect how often?
Yes.
Yes. It's going to be in effect yes, which means forever. So what I'm going to want is I'm going to want a control where we're going to forever be checking gravity, see if he's going to fall.
I mean, forever is a really long time.
Yep, it's a really long time. So we'll find that out, hopefully, all of us. So,
Until the computer crashes.
no, I'm thinking that
until my brain.
after we die and go to heaven and one day we'll be sitting around and you'll go, hey, you realize something? And go, no, what? Today is my 1 millionth birthday. Wow. So it'd be kind of cool. But. Okay, so forever we're going to check gravity. Now, in reality, gravity is going forever, right? Listen up, guys. In reality, gravity is going forever, right? But in reality, we only want it to happen when he's not touching the ground, right? So when Frank is not okay, we don't want gravity to affect him. So let's do this. Let's go. Let's use an if-then. So I'm going to grab an if-then-else statement. So I'm going to drop it in my forever. So inside your forever is an if-then-else statement. And in my if-then-else statement, I'm going to check whether Frank is okay or not. So I'm going to go to my operators. And you'll notice this little diamond shaped or kind of diamond hexagon or don't know what it is. Yeah, it's a hexagon. So
Hold on. Have you ever heard of an F?
I'm going to grab my, okay, pay attention guys. I'm going to grab my equal 50s here. And I'm going to grab my variable, okay. And I'm going to check if okay is equal to true. Now here is a tricky part. Listen up. I do not know if Scratch is case sensitive or not, but a lot of uppercase and lowercase. A lot of programming languages are, so you want to keep case the same. So you see how I wrote out true up here as lowercase true? I want it to say it be exactly the same here. Otherwise, if it is case sensitive, and if I put capital T in here, it would say no, it's not the same, and it would say it's false. So
It would shut down your Slither.
It would scream at you.
okay.
It would make
So
the computer go like this.
It would make your computer digital.
You get the blue screen of death.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in order to fall and not fall, we're going to always have him falling. But what we're going to do is we're going to set gravity to 0 when he's okay, so that he doesn't fall.
Okay, he's okay.
Okay. So
Rotating lollipop.
if okay equals true, then I'm going to set my gravity to 0. Gravity to 0. Else, I'm going to fall.
So set gravity to 1 million.
No, gravity's already set to 5. So what I want to do is I want to have him fall. Anyone remember how we fall?
By jumping off something.
Make something push
Sorry,
away.
I don't
No problem.
remember.
Playing broken
So-
buttons on Roblox.
What will you do?
You played that?
Yeah.
So funny.
It's
I streamed it yesterday.
Okay, when we fall, we want to change his y position, right? So right now he's at 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to set, and then we're going to set y position, so his y. And now we're going to do a little operator here. So
Set. Oh, set.
we're going to do something minus something here. So get your minus sign here. And for variables, we're going to put in the y variables. We're going to set y to y minus, oops, it missed. Y to y minus gravity.
Gravy.
Minus gravity.
Seriously, name it gravy.
I named it gravy like 5 weeks ago, so I think we're
Okay.
good there.
Now here's something. So go ahead and click your flag button. What happens?
This thing go in.
You don't move.
Nothing.
Nothing, right? Why?
Because we didn't set the gravy variable yet.
Anyway, right now, gravity's set to 5, but OK set to true. So go ahead and stop it. Go up here and set gravity to, or set OK to false. Save it, and now run it. And what happens?
Oh, so we just did the second.
Oh, just a second. He still doesn't do anything. Haha.
I told you, because gravy doesn't mean anything yet. We need to set that.
No, gravity is set. Gravity is set to 5, but the reason he falls is we set the variables, but we never moved to them.
Right.
So go ahead and stop it. We got to go to our motion. And we're not going to go to, we're going to glide to.
Gravity's actually easy.
Oh, I don't want to glide to random position, sorry. We're going to glide to X and Y.
He's gonna go like up.
Ah. Okay. And inside that X and Y, we're going to add the X and the Y here.
This is kind of funky.
What? I'm gonna make gravity kind of this project.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so now if we press our button, now if we press our flag, nothing, yeah, something happens.
Oh, I know.
It's just really slow. Because gravity doesn't work that way. Gravity doesn't, you don't fall at a constant speed every time you fall.
It's not working at all.
Yours isn't working at all?
Oh, it's because I didn't change
Because
true
you're
to
not even
false.
on scratch.
Can I make a variable that one says true and one says false? That way I can just like.
Slap those variables in instead? Yes, that would be fine. So,
This got kind of funky.
okay, so if I hit my flag, he goes and he starts falling very slowly. Well, gravity speeds up, so we want one more thing in here. It's the last thing we're going to do, then I'm going to let you go. So, after we start our glide, we're going to set our gravity. Or here, let's change our gravity by, and let's put -5. So every time it'll go through to glide and gravity, or not -5, by 5, sorry. Otherwise it'll slow down, it'll start floating away. He'll be like, ah, because it goes. Did you do -5? Is he floating away?
I'm in the middle of a month.
Okay, so save that. Okay, and if you run that, now we should start falling faster. It's still slow, but that's probably because we got to change our glide speed. But he's going to speed up. So, but we got the basis working. So,
Gravy to what? Negative.
gravity to 5. Change gravity by 5.
Why
So,
isn't it even going?
Oh,
Why?
change.
Why isn't it working?
okay. So I'm going to leave it here, save it, and we'll work on this next week now that we got a little more direction to work on. So.
This